Yes, people right now are on Yahoo Finance. So the Chancellor Rachel Reeves is going to be releasing a budget in the United Kingdom. So an autumn type budget very shortly. So Chancellor Reeves could allow holiday tax on English hotels and Airbnb. Now, obviously, this could be an issue. So this budget is being long awaited, and actually, it's got a lot of financial, industry leaders, companies, businesses. They're quite scared at the moment in terms of what this budget could lead to. So British holidaymakers could have to pay a nightly tax on hotel stays and Airbnb style visits in plans expected to be announced by Rachel Reeves in the budget. So the Chancellor is reportedly preparing to give mayors the powers to raise taxes by charging tourists on the cost of overnight stay in their cities. Now, I have been to European cities where sometimes, and other cities where sometimes you have to pay a couple of euros or maybe a few extra dollars or whatever, um, or a little bit of money in the local currency as a nightly tax. And that gets added on to your bill at the end of your stay in the particular hotel in the particular country. Now, other countries are doing this, but how will this affect the UK? So it's going to affect tourists in terms of obviously coming here having to pay pounds on a nightly stay in a hotel, and that could put people off, especially if they're staying for longer periods. The tax could raise hundreds of millions of pounds for mayors to invest in transport and public services, but it's going to represent a further blow for the hospitality industry, which was squeezed by tax rises and extra employment costs announced previously. So, in the last budget, the Chancellor made a string of announcements, including increasing income, national insurance contributions, various other taxes. So, companies did suffer, and maybe as a result, some companies decided not to increase their employment. So, unemployment figures have been rising in the UK. So, unemployment is an issue right now. Now, the trade body, UK Hospitality, which represents thousands of restaurants, hotels, and pubs, set a tourism tax of 5%, the rate basically to be set by Edinburgh from next July 2026 would mean a tax of around 27% effectively, factoring in things like VAT at 20% and other elements of that as well. And that will be the highest tax in Europe, the trade body said. It's estimated 5% holiday tax might bring in or cost Britain actually £518 million in additional costs and bring that kind of money in for the local mayors. Kate Nichols, the chair of UK Hospitality, now she said, I know the government is worried about the cost of living, but the holiday tax is a little more than a higher VAT rate for holidaymakers. Now, Brits take more than 89 million overnight trips in England and stay for a total of 255 million nights. This is a bill we'll all have to pay and will only serve to ramp up prices and drive inflation. Now, you hear the word holiday tax, you might be thinking it's for people who come from outside of the UK. But as she said, people in this country also spend many nights in hotels, travel to different cities, parts of the country, and have holidays and so on. So, of course, they'll be potentially affected by this as well. Government sources told the Times, which first reported Reeves' plan, England was an outlier among developed countries for not having tourism tax. Now, the levy is also being introduced by devolved Scottish and Welsh governments. Changes will be introduced using amendments to the English Devolution and Community Empowerment Bill. The legislation is going through Parliament at the moment, so it's not actually law right now, but it's something that's going through Parliament that could soon make its way across and become law. Now, a summer coalition of mayors, including Sadiq Khan, Andy Burnham, wrote a letter to the Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy, and he was urging the government to introduce a visitor levy. They argued that £1 to £5 a night levy in Greater Manchester would raise between 8 million to 40 million a year, which could help fund infrastructure projects like the regeneration of Old Trafford or the airport development. Obviously, that £1 to £5 a night. So if you stay a week, for example, or if it's 6 nights, 5 times 6, an extra 30 quid. So that will add up if there's multiple people on the holiday or if you're staying for a longer period of time. Now, can the cash-strapped Brits here in the UK afford to pay those kind of taxes on top of costs for hotels, travel, food, all that kind of stuff, insurances when they go on holiday locally? That is a question that has to be answered, maybe through speaking to people, liaising with people, and finding out how that might affect people. So Edinburgh is probably going to be one of the first cities in Scotland to introduce a tourist tax of 5%. And these kind of charges, as you go along, might affect the travel sector in different ways, including domestically and internationally. Now, yes, Britain is an outlier. It currently doesn't have like a visitor tax levy for holidaymakers, whereas, like I said, other European countries, some that I've been to or other holiday destinations do have this. So, is it the case of Britain just catching up with their counterparts, or is it the case that they might be putting potential travellers off with these extra taxes? Okay, people, do let us know what you think about this in the comment section below. Currently, we're on about 3.7k subscribers. Help us reach 10k subscribers by clicking the subscribe button. Okay, people, catch you in the next one.